Okay, I think we are ready. So I let you mentors to introduce yourself. So you take your time. I'll be here. And of course, if any of you residents need to comment through the chat, I'm here to advise you if we have new messages and stuff like that. So yeah, enjoy this class. And thank you for being here to the Dada squad. It's amazing to have all of you again here in our residency. So enjoy.
Well, thank you so much, Matilda. Assuming this is like a whole new cohort of the vertical crypto art residency, I'm not familiar with what your level of understanding NFTs is. Maybe you already know everything there is about to know about them, maybe not. So I hope that this presentation about DADA will enlighten you, and most of anything, just give you a sense of what we're doing and how we're doing things a little bit differently from anyone else. Mathilde, just a question, how long do we have for this?
1 hour and a half. So yeah.
Okay. So I don't have to run. Okay, that's good.
No, no.
All right. Well, thank you, and it's nice to meet everyone. Let me get started with my presentation. I wish I could do it full screen, but if I do full screen, I can't see you guys, so I'm just gonna do it like this. Dada is Dada.art. Sorry, let me start again. My name is Judy Mam. I am the co-founder of Dada.art. Dada is a visual conversation platform where people speak to each other through drawings. As you can see from this visual, somebody created a Mona Lisa, like a Dayglow Mona Lisa in our platform, and then other artists replied with other famous works of art. We call this conversation pop art. So each one of the different works of art was created by a different artist. Let me see if I can play this. Let's see. Can you see the screen? So I'm assuming you can. So because I can't see you, we have artists that are making collaborative art by drawing in our digital canvas. It's a very simple tool. And so you make a drawing, you post it, and somebody can reply to you with another drawing, creating like this amazing visual conversation. And as you can see, people kind of follow the lead of whoever started it. And that creates really great kind of relationships between people from all over the world who don't necessarily know each other, but who draw together. So we've been around since art that was created in the platform had enormous value, but we didn't, we were trying different ways to monetize it, and it was just really very insufficient. Like for digital art to monetize was really hard. It was like, do we do crowdsourcing talent or merchandising? Stuff that was not really scalable, and it was also not exciting, and it was also not very profitable. But in 2017, we started, let me see why. Hold on one second, because for some reason, there we go. That's better. We started hearing about the blockchain, and through this guy, Fred Wilson, who's an investor, he's like a big investor in New York. He started sharing that he was collecting these very weird things called rare pepes that were these kind of memes made by artists, but that could be collected with Bitcoin. And as he mentions, like the coolest thing ever, like combining a crypto asset with a meme and a trading card, which is what rare pepes were. And so he was kind of, through that, educating people about this new form of kind of digital art that could be actually sold and bought. At the time, they were not called NFTs. So Bea, which is our founder and basically the creator of Dada, went to the Ethereal Summit in 2017. You can see her like under the yellow arrow, and was listening to, talk about blockchain in Ethereum, the Ethereum blockchain. And what she saw in that conference completely like blew her away. She immediately understood that that's what we needed to do for DADA, that the blockchain and the capability of, creating unique digital assets that people could collect or gift or trade was the way to go. But beyond that, she also saw the possibilities of this technology for beyond something like a market, and I'll talk about that later. So we actually were very inspired by the rare pepes, which were made by individual artists in the counterparty platform, and they were like, different collectibles made by different artists. But we also were inspired by the CryptoPunks, which came out in the summer of 2017, and the way that they did this collectible framework of many editions, in their case 10,000, with different attributes, and also a decentralized marketplace. So we actually launched our first collection of tokenized art, or NFTs, or as we used to call it, rare art at the time, Creeps and Weirdos, on October of 2017, which makes this one of the really very early collections. We launched our decentralized marketplace, and let me see if I can show you the video. And as you can see, these were, we curated, Bea and I curated 108 drawings out of different visual conversations that had that kind of creepy and weird aesthetic, because at the time that's what people were collecting. There were very, very few collectors. As you could see, Fred Wilson saying that he bought the Pepe Basquiat for $21. Like today, it's far more expensive than that. But so, we felt this is what people are collecting, so it has to have kind of like that aesthetic. But at the same time, these were drawings made by individual artists in our platforms. There's 30 different artists, mostly from Latin America. And let me see if I can play this for you. So we designed this, with 5 levels of scarcity: common, uncommon, very rare, very rare, and extremely rare, with their prices. You clicked on the details, and you could see the name of the artist and the edition number. And this was kind of how our original marketplace looked. So it was a decentralized marketplace in Ethereum. So we we used the smart contract of the CryptoPunks. We actually reached out to them. They allowed us to use their smart contract, and we adapted it to encode royalties for artists into smart contracts for the first time. That, as far as I know, this is the first time anyone ever done it, and anyone ever did it. And so that was kind of a game changer for artists in general. In the first sale, 70% went to the artist and 30% went to DADA. And on the secondary market, the owner would keep 60% and the artist would get 30%, and DADA would get 10% on the profit. So that is really also very important historically. Later on, as more individual artists started creating NFTs and starting experimenting with art on the blockchain, and we have Sparrow here who can talk about it later. They had to actually fight for platforms to respect and include royalties for artists, because at the beginning, once platforms started, it became a market. They were not interested so much on the royalties, but this is the fact that as an artist, you can get a distribution in a secondary market automatically in perpetuity for art that you sold is obviously quite quite a game changer, and it's not something that happens at all in the actual, like what they call the legacy art market. So we, as very early people in the space, we were invited to the Rare Art Festival, the first Rare Art Festival, which was really the event that kind of like, in my mind, coalesced the community and was a really seminal event because it was a very exciting time. We presented Dada and the Crips and Weirdos. The CryptoPunks were there presenting their projects. Joe Looney of Rare Pepes was there presenting the Rare Pepes, and really there were only a handful of platforms that were doing this at the time. This was in January of 2018. And after the festival, at the end of the festival, we could see that, you know, it was a full day of innovation and of people presenting their incredible projects, and just like an entire day of great presentations, which was rather kind of eclipsed by somebody paying $39,000 for a Homer Pepe. So we saw that's where things may lead, because that's kind of like the easier story to tell. And then the media covered that because no one could believe at the time that anybody could pay such an amount of money for basically like a digital meme. But we decided to continue experimenting. And at the time, the second thing that we tokenized was this amazing collaboration that we had with this company called Kitty Hats. I'm sure that you may be familiar with the Cryptokitties, which actually were like this collectible project that I believe actually came after us. I think they launched in December of 2017. And they were these collectible cats that you could breed. And for a while, it was like a huge fad and people were going crazy about them. And there was this company called Kitty Hats that you could buy some accessories for your cat. So you could buy them sunglasses or a watch or a mustache or a tattoo. And then the Kitty Hats guys came to us and said, well, wouldn't it be cool if the cats could collect art? And we said, cats need to have art, of course. So we actually tokenized that conversation that you saw in the first slide, and created these individual works of art that anyone who had a CryptoKitty could collect. And the innovative part of this, I think it was like a special token was used that you could layer different to Kitty Hats, and a percentage went to us immediately. And it was just one way to show that the possibilities of doing collaborations and remixing in NFTs, because non-fungible tokens, with them you can track each individual contribution on any piece of content. So you can layer music, or you can layer animation, or you can you can layer any kind of digital content, and everyone, it will be transparent and everybody will be attributed. So we became thought leaders in the space, and we were really educating as many people as possible about this new technology. Our CTO Abraham is the guy in the left right-hand corner that he spoke at NYU. Bea gave the keynote speech at the Ethereal Summit of 2018. We were invited to the Art and Tech Summit by Christie's, where Jason Bailey, who you may know as Art Gnome, moderated a panel, and it was really interesting. You know, I'm sitting next to Matt Wolf. Yes, can you see or not?
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think that the slides are not moving right now. We are still on Crips and Weirdos.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry.
The Cryptokitties again with art. I want.
Yes.
Okay, I'll show the Cryptokitties again. So you were here now. Are they moving now?
Yes. Now we can see them. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're moving now. Okay.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
Okay, so I think it's because I was on the. It doesn't work when I'm in the full screen. All right. So did you see this slide before? We were at the first Rare AF. We were the cover image for the festival, and then I spoke about doing this collaboration with Kitty Hats so that the cats could be art collectors, and then just places where we have talked, like the Christie's Art and Tech Summit, the Institute of Crypto Anarchy in Prague, South by Southwest, and the in our community, like our artists like Vanessa, who is in the bottom of the frame. She lives in Patagonia and she presented DADA also there. So we have a global community of artists, and we since the very beginning we have tried to further the case of art on the blockchain and of for lack of a better word, NFTs, and how you can also create a different kind of system with this technology. So we have a very large art community. We have over 170,000 people who have registered on DADA. Not all of them draw, but we are about to reach like 150,000 drawings. About 500 people have been making art in DADA since 2014, and we have a very strong, solid community. We try to get together in real life anytime we have a chance. So Dada traveled to Valparaiso, I don't remember when exactly it was, but several years ago, to meet with the artists that have been with us for a long time. As you can see, all those people are artists from the Crips and Weirdos. When we went to Prague to an illustration festival, we were invited, and we brought people, artists who lived in Europe, like Serena in Italy, and Javier in Spain, to meet with us, and we did like live drawing performance at that festival. I was recently in Mexico, so anytime I have a chance, I meet with artists from Dada. And more recently in New York in December, we were at the Dreamverse festival, and we created this beautiful live drawing, actually, but with actual paint and in an actual canvas for the entire day. And we brought artists from different parts of the world to participate. So we've always been about innovation. I am not going to run the video, but this conversation, which is called Sight Unseen, was another thing that we did with the community. We do these live drawing performances with members of the community, where we stream people drawing live. And in this case, this was at the Radical for Change conference, where we auctioned this conversation that was being created as people were bidding. So people were bidding for something that they didn't know exactly how it was going to turn out. But it was also a way to demonstrate this new kind of auction that people in the conference had invented. Glenn Weil and other people had invented, which is called the channel auction, where it's a combination of English auction and Dutch auction. So English auction is the price go up and the prices go up, and Dutch auction is the price goes down. And the channel auction is kind of like goes in the middle, where the winner is when the price hits the middle. And what was interesting about this performance was that there you could see the collaboration happen in real time. You could see the art being created in real time, and given the nature of the auction, the two upper bids, the two people that were bidding against each other, somehow this influenced them. So one of them, Yogi, decided, he said to the other guy, why don't we pool our bids so that
Judy,
the artist...
or am I the only one who can see her?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Let me
Yep.
know. Okay. So one of the collectors said to the other one, the bidder said, why don't we pool our bids so that the artist can actually get more? Each one of them, the bid at the time was like $1,500. So that's what they did. But then we said, so they both ended up owning the conversation. And but we said, you're not going to own the conversation so that you have half the drawings and the other guy has half the drawings. You have to co-own the conversation. It has to be now a collaboration between collectors. So actually, one of the bidders was Simon de la Rouvière, who is a coder and who has been in this space for a long time. He actually had to create kind of like a multi-signatory wallet so that they both could own the art. So again, this is just an example of innovation and how we innovate with community participation. This conversation we created live at the Tate Modern in London in 2019, I believe. There was an exhibition of a retrospective of Nam June Paik, the famous video artist, and we were invited to do a live drawing performance. This is the end result of that. Several artists from all over the world drawing live at Tate. And so all of this value, the value of the art, the value of creating community, the value of participating in exhibitions and live drawing performances together needs to be captured and needs to be distributed. But how could we do this without, the thing about Dada is that it is a collaborative platform and it is a community. So if we were to just go the full market route and let's say sell individual drawings on Dada or adopt those kinds of dynamics, we really believe that it would destroy the art that is made on Dada, because people start going, well, who sold more and why does a tree sell more than a flower, and I'm going to make trees because trees are what sells, and that kind of thing. So we could not, we always wanted to design a system that was more fair for artists and that was less ruthless and less unequal than the actual art market. What ended up happening was that what we foresaw in 2018 at the Rare Art Fest was that the promise of this technology of blockchain, which is peer-to-peer, decentralized, can democratize art collection, and now people can be collectors, could be completely taken into a very, very free market on steroids dynamic, which is exactly what happened. So we never really took that path. We decided there has to be a better way, and there has to be a way in which artists can live sustainably without having to worry about marketing themselves and about shilling themselves and about commodifying their art. So how do we do this? Well, we created something called the invisible economy. And the invisible economy is an economic system in which you can do what you love as an artist, you can create art, and you don't have to worry about monetizing. And I know it sounds strange, but what we were trying to solve were the problems that we saw with the art market in general, which are the exact same problems that we see with the NFT market, even more acute, which is extreme inequality, because the people who are always at the top or are favored by the algorithm are people who already come with certain ingrained advantage. The problem of meritocracy, which is not really helpful, since the people who are at the top tend to already be those same people that come with ingrained advantages. For instance, that have better, it could be anything from a better internet connection to more resources, to speaking the language, to being a guy instead of a woman, or somebody from a like less, from more marginalized communities. The problem of the SAR system, again, there's only a very few artists at the top who make, who get a lot of attention and make a lot of money, and there's a lot of that are equally talented and equally hardworking, or even more, but they cannot ever get discovered. So those kinds of problems, right? In secondary markets, like most of the wealth goes to the collector and the commodification of art. I don't know how much you have been in this space already, but if you're entering this space right now, it's rather frightening because it's like a supermarket. It's like going to Costco or something. And so I don't think that that's what artists should be. We don't think that that's where artists should be spending their energy. So the invisible economy is actually inspired by the DADA platform and by what we've learned through years of seeing people collaborate in a framework that basically is about creating art without any kind of other expectations, but to create art, use your own imagination, collaborate with others, engage in conversation with other artists. Because in Dada, there is no buying, there's no selling, there's no shilling, there's no producing, there's none of that. You go, you draw because you love to draw, or because you want to relax, or because you want to test out some ideas, or whatever it is that you want to do, and people respond to you. So those things are basically intrinsic motivations. Intrinsic motivations are motivations that come from inside, and they are like, for instance, self-expression, or your individual autonomy, or a sense of validation, or wanting to belong to a community. Those are all things that come from. Whereas extrinsic motivations are things that come from outside of you, prizes or awards, or marks at school, or stuff that you need to kind of like achieve, that are outside of your own internal motivation. So our framework is kind of like works on the axis of the tension between the individual motivations, which is your own search for meaning, and participating in a community so that's the horizontal axis, being part of a community, and the tension between freedom and fairness. And then on the vertical axis, more like the spiritual stuff about being part of collaborating in the greater good, or expressing yourself, and your actual material needs, which are equally important because you need to survive. So basically, crypto art markets, what you have is an environment of competition, scarcity, and speculation, where, like an individual artist, you go to Twitter and you try to see how can, like find collectors and present your art, which in this place we call it shilling, which is it's a terrible word, but you have to be selling, and the incentives are basically extrinsic and qualitative. It's like I buy, I sell, money kind of stuff, and what is not included in these dynamics are the intangible values, like intrinsic rewards. They may be included in some ways, but not really quantified. And the outcome is that you have very few winners. You have inequality because there's many artists who deserve the attention and who deserve, to be able to make it, and value extraction that tends to kind of not go to the artist. So it's more on the hands of actors. Whereas in the invisible economy, you have an environment of collaboration about creativity. We are totally, it's not about scarcity, but about the more artists created, the better. The more artists there are, the better. And the incentives are, do art because you love making it. It's a quality of life issue for your action is priceless. So this is kind of like the tension always art And the reason why it's so difficult for artists to kind of live in the market is because it's very difficult to price something that is priceless, like your work, your experience, like your years of toiling and your everything that informs your art. How can you put a price on that? But the action of making art is actually priceless. The reward is intrinsic. It has all the connotations that I spoke about before. You are giving of you to the world, and the contribution is that you are part of a commons. So the outcome is different from the market outcome, which is just the wealth concentrated in very few people. This is your own fulfillment and a safety net for everyone, not just a bunch of money for 5 people and everyone doesn't have a share of the pie. And out of the boundaries of this environment is that it's non-speculative, it's non-competitive, and it is not predicated on scarcity or an extrinsic rewards. And I know you may have questions, so we will have time for that. So what happens in the market is the market only accounts for one kind of value only, and that's monetary value. It doesn't account for anything else, really. I mean, you can say, oh well, it's about the name of, or it's about the trajectory of the artist, but in reality, it's really about you attach a name and some wild speculation, and then you have somebody paying $69 million for an NFT. We feel that there are other values that need to be also kind of measured, that they need to be measured. So we devised this kind of really beautiful system of contribution metrics where we know what people have contributed to DADA, which is not only the art, but it support, it can be ideas, exposure, like when they bring DADA to conferences or when we do to us, we kind of like have made I lost the word, like a scheme of it, so we can say, well, is it on site, is it live, is it online, and what are the intangible values? How do people feel when they're doing this? So this is, for instance, an example of we did a live drawing performance in an exhibition in Rome in 2020, and so we were measuring all the values that were created during that particular event. So how did people feel during the event? How did people feel after the event? And so we mapped the contributions. These are the different people who participated. So Eleonora was the person, Brisi, who put together the exhibition. So in her case, it was this, like the organization. Bea was both an artist and an organizer. And everybody was kind of saying, this is how I felt. And so this is kind of a nice way to see how you could actually account for contributions that are not just the creating of art and the buying and selling of it. So the invisible economy kind of protects, the community and the art and the created, because we can, through the invisible economy, let's say, have several sources of revenue and weirdos or other collections that we may tokenize, but they are separated from the platform, from the community, so we can have a source of revenue that does not fray the fabric of the community. And lately, I think really this is kind of a work of art. I know it looks kind of weird, but this is the value flows that we are establishing, or that we are identifying in our history, as so that we can understand how value was created, when it was created, and by whom. So these are from 2014 to 2016, what we were doing, and then how we have been growing. And just to give you an example, the pink, the dark pink things are, for instance, innovation. So, for instance, the 2017 smart contract, who worked in it? Was it paid? Was it not paid? Where, like, we can see all the kinds of where at this accelerator matter, where that's where we actually did the hypothesis of blockchain. We created the smart contract. We created the Crips and Weirdos. Then there were articles about those, and Artnom wrote about us, led us to the Rare Art Fest, which led to other things. And we can identify the kinds of things that we have, the efforts in which we have spent a lot of effort and not really gained a lot of value from. And interestingly, at the very early beginning, they tended to be when we were trying to raise funding, for instance. We were able to raise funding once, but there were many other times where were just incredibly time-consuming and didn't really get anywhere. But what we can see got us somewhere was the innovation that we were creating, the reaching out to the community, everything is accounted for. So, for instance, our social media has. I'm here because of it. Like how our relationships with other members of the community, of the crypto art community. All of this can be identified, so that when we distribute the creation of value, we know where we can decide where it should go. And we make many of those invisible things that people work so hard for instance, the coding, the creation of the platform, the people who like have Lenara and Sparrow, who have given us enormous value with ideas and with have built the invisible economy with us. All of that can be accounted for. So basically, what we have now is a model in which we can separate the commons, the data platform, and the creation of art, which continues unimpeded and free and lovely, from the protocol, which is a DAO that is going to organizing the marketplace and the stuff that we decide we can tokenize in order to bring funds and continue developing the marketplace and these things. But at the same time, we're also going to issue a token, and through that token distribute it to contributing members of the community. So it's a complex thing. It's called the invisible economy. You can find it, the white paper in our blog. But the important part is just to show you that we have been almost for 10 years creating an alternative system that can live in the broader NFT community. But it is an example that not everything needs to be market. Not everything needs to be the exact same thing. And I recently conducted a poll among DADA artists about the influence of NFT in their lives, because I was asked to write an article for Jason's Right Click Save magazine, and about how NFTs had influenced DADA artists, because at the beginning none of them knew what an NFT was, none of them had a digital wallet, none of them knew what MetaMask was, none of them had any clue because it didn't exist. And so we wanted to see 4 years later how people felt about it. And I asked, what kind of influence do NFTs have in your life? And of course, monetary influence is very important, because it has made a difference in people's lives. And the options that I gave were monetary, creative, political or ideological, emotional, and social. But what is interesting is that asking artists what is the one that is the most powerful influence in your life of NFT, what is the most, the most important one, it was creative. People felt that what has kind of opened up like the possibilities of this technology and like everything in terms of their creation or of their like community or of their participating in this space has been creative. And that was, I mean, it shouldn't have been surprising to me, but it was surprising that like they were passionate about it, about how in different ways it has informed their creativity. And this gives me enormous hope for you and for anyone in space, because the point of this technology and of NFTs, I think, is to understand, I mean, for us, the point is to understand that there's more than economic value being created, that there's enormous value that you create just by making art, just by making your art, just by being members of this amazing community of vertical crypto art or of the wider NFT community. And so I hope that this leaves you with just an inspiration for and an understanding that the value that you create in this space is far beyond the monetary value, that that your actual contribution will be priceless, hopefully also well rewarded, but your contribution as artists and community members is really what counts. Thank you. If you're still there.
Yeah, we're here. Thank you so much for this presentation. And
Okay.
I leave the floor to our residents to make questions and or even comments. I think they're fine too. So thank you so much.
Yes, please. I mean, I would love to hear from you, comments and anything in between, and questions, because I know this is a little bit complex.
Hi, Judy. This is Anna. Thank you so much for that presentation.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. How are you?
Good,
I was
good.
wondering if you could speak a little bit about where you see the space going. You touched upon it a little bit, but I'm really interested to hear your opinions.
Listen, I have always been really bad at prognostications. Like when in 2017 we were thinking, yeah, I mean, we all knew the potential. We all knew that value would be created and captured. No one, I think, no one could see what is happening today in terms of the crazy speculation and bear market. It is speculation, just not at these wild numbers. So where I see the space going, I feel that as everything, like any kind of digital thing, like the internet, blockchain is like that too. You could have it's not monolithic. You can have it's like a spectrum in which you can have extremes. So on one extreme you have people like us. On one side you can have people like us who are really looking into innovation of Web3. We are migrating, for instance, to a Web3 protocol that's called Holochain. That I think I'm not really kind of an expert on, but Lenara here can talk about it. But there's people who are going to be innovating and experimenting and doing amazing creative things and using the system in a different ways. And you also have like the other side of it, which is a casino, rampant speculation, wanting their bags and PFPs and stuff. The way I feel it's going is that there may be a little bit of I don't want to call it a fork, but I do a differentiation between PFPs and art. Not that there's some PFPs that are art, but I do a differentiation. I think that it's a little bit frustrating. I think individual artists are feeling a little bit left out and bewildered, because if you just go for the market is what makes the most noise. But at the same time, I see amazing platforms that are preoccupied with preserving and furthering art on the blockchain and the importance, the creative and historical and social and cultural. So you have vertical crypto art, you have Mocha, the of crypto art, that like there are organizations that are trying to give also context to this, and that I think that's going to be a trend that's continuing. Sparrow is launching a fabulous platform called The Platform that precisely is interested in providing context and making the content be valuable and out there for the art, because if you look at it really has been almost designed to be a marketplace, and it can be so many other things. So what I see is that there's going to be more influencers and celebrities coming in and claiming they discovered blockchain yesterday, and there's going to be brands kind of co-opting this. This is already happening, and they're going to completely misunderstand and not actually use the actual decentralized nature of it. They're going to try to feed the blockchain to their purposes. It's already happening, but I think that we have to focus on it's still early and there's still so much experimentation. So I spoke to you recently, for instance, other artistic disciplines like literature that you are doing with the verse poetry on the blockchain. I'm also launching my novel as an NFT, which is going to be on the platform. And it's just like, and the creativity that comes with this space is that you can play around with formats, you can play around with languages. This is a global space, so there's some of the boundaries that we have in other creative, the physical boundaries can be diminished or gone. So I see that there should be a lot of experimentation with music or with literature and I know that some people are doing things about film because that's where it should be going. So hopefully it'll become not more mainstream in the sense that people can finally understand how it can empower them. Not more mainstream that McDonald's is going to launch an NFT, But I think both things are going to happen. And please, if
Thank
anyone
you.
disagrees, let's hear it.
Hi, can I make a question?
Sure. Who are? Can you say your name?
I'm Zala. I probably the
Hi.
last one on the list because of
Yes.
this. But okay. I always liked the Dada movement, but always following the traditional movements, né? So, and seeing in the crypto world is very interesting to me. So, what was to think about it, the Dada movement into, because your presentation about the values and the artists only posting because they feel good about it, I thought it was very, very interesting. I think that sharing my view. So could you talk a little bit about it, about this critique of the crypto market? I thought this was very, very
I don't know if I understood your question correctly, but if you were talking about Dada, like we call ourselves Dada because we felt that there was a real affinity with the original Dada movement, turn of the 20th century, where they really were innovating and saying, traditional art doesn't have to be circumscribed to these traditional formats and notions. It could be a collaboration between poetry and music and dance. It could be words. It could be. They were really trying to get away from the constrictive. At the time, art was like, oh, it has to be a canvas and it has to be oil or a sculpture, that kind of thing. So for us, their spirit of experimentation and really kind of just freedom, artistic freedom was was an inspiration. In terms of criticizing the market, like that's kind of, Lenara hates when I use this phrase, but that's kind of in our DNA, because from the very beginning, and because we, as I say, we were created as, I call it a garden where, I call that an art. And when you have a garden where art, that is like many flowers tended by many people in the community, that is going to lead you to a different path. If you apply the market something like that, it's like a community garden. Are you going to put price on flowers? Are you start like competing against your neighbor to, like, it didn't make sense. And that Bea has always had, as an artist, and she was a very successful commercial artist. She had an animation studio. She was doing work for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She was billing a lot of money, and she realized that she was well paid, but she wasn't capturing, like, she was capturing a fraction of the value that she was helping these brands create. So that her entire vision was informed by thinking, well, if I am a relatively successful commercial artist and I'm still kind of like not capturing all the value, imagine, I mean, she knows, we all know that it's very difficult for artists to capture the very real value that they create. So our mission always was to create a system where the entire community could benefit, and where it wouldn't be just left to whoever is more popular or whoever has more, like all those dynamics that end up just helping very few people instead of everyone. I don't know if this answers the question.
Yes. I really appreciate the movement, and see this in the crypto world is very, very beautiful to me. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say, like, because we hear a lot about artists space where artists are saying that they're exhausted, that they are bewildered, that they are discouraged, and all of you need to know that Dada is a place for you to come and feel better about it. Like, if you just wanna go in there and do your whatever art it is, from whatever you want, it's kind of like a safe place and a nice oasis in a way from all this noise. So and it's free to use, and you can do of it whatever you want. So it's also, I mean, that's a part of what we do. We have the invisible economy and the NFTs and part of blockchain. But Dada, the platform itself, is such a wonderful resource for artists, I believe.
Yes, this is very, very inspiring.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would love to know a little bit more about you. Like, if anyone can tell me, have you been doing NFT for a long time? Are you just getting started? How are you feeling about the whole thing? Just feel free. A little of, your personal experience, so I get a sense of also of what else we want to talk about, since we're here. Don't be shy. No.
Hello, Judy. It's really
Hi.
a pleasure. Hi, how are you? My name is
Good. What's
Ahmad.
your name?
My name
Aha.
is Ahmad, yes. And a few days ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure to actually come into the DADA.art website. I'm a CG artist, 3D artist, but I love the website, and I got into it and started just, scribbling, and I really had a great time. I couldn't really
Oh,
get
good.
into it very much, but I have actually plans, but I really loved it. The environment you made is really inspiring. And I'm really glad that your focus is primarily on art. and it was really great to actually get into a challenge. My second drawing, actually, a spectrum, got into a challenge on DADA.art.
Oh yes, yes,
And
yes. I remember that.
I
Yeah,
really loved the
wonderful.
experience. Just wanted to just tell you this experience, that it was amazing that people started to actually get into conversation. I actually could extract a lot of meaning, from it, the conversation that happened. And just wanted to tell you that what you do is really inspiring, and I'm
Oh,
really,
thank you.
yeah. Thank you very much for
Well,
everything you
when you
do.
said I am a CGI artist, I shivered, I shuddered because our platform, as you could see, is very, very simple. We have a very, very basic tool, which we actually call the shitty tool because, and it's not, it has bugs, it's not super sophisticated in terms of you have layers, and we did that on purpose because Bea felt that the more features we added, the more artists were going to try to be perfect, and this was not about doing your masterpiece. It was about you expressing yourself playfully and freely. So we are aware that it can be a little clunky, and we're actually going to launch soon the long-awaited improved version of it. But I really appreciate you saying this because you get the spirit of it, and the spirit of it is just let go and play around and see who else is there, and you can draw by yourself, you can draw with others, but I really 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 appreciate your kind words. And as for the challenge, what we do is that every time somebody new joining the platform, we put like a daily drawing challenge so that people can discover you, or you can and so I'm glad that you were able to experience that, and I
That's
hope you come
awesome.
back.
Yeah, of course, I will come back more and more in the coming days. And that tool that you talked about, it's very simple and it's amazing. First time I got into it, it was like, oh no, it's not Photoshop, but it's very simple and everyone
No.
can get into it and do different things. It doesn't have the Control Z, function, but it's awesome. And I could very, very, passionately interact with it. It was simple and
Oh,
just
good.
could, yeah, release my mind. Thank you very much for this beautiful tool.
Thank you. That really warms my heart.
It's amazing. Thank
There
you
are
very much.
thank you. Any other questions or comments about anything? We can talk NFTs, we can talk art, we can talk data, we can talk market, we can vent or not.
I see Michael is typing something in the chat, so maybe he will join us, not verbally, but yeah.
I'm really bad at handling this word, like the coming from the chat to this. I always get lost. So Mathilde, please, if you can be my Sherpa with this, that would
Yeah.
yeah,
Judy,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you. This is Anna again. I wanted to ask you how you were thinking of having your book sort of participate as an NFT, or are you going to take sections of it, or how are you thinking about connecting your book with the blockchain, if at all?
Yeah. I mean, we're launching it in the platform, which is a really interesting, really fantastic and interesting new platform because it's gonna be, the platform is gonna be a DAO. So my editor, it's kind of like the book came out in paper, like rather traditionally in a way. An editor found read my novel to publish it, and then I asked proposed for us to do it as an NFT. And I think my book in particular is more like an object of art, because we are collaborating with Mojarra, who is a DADA artist and a wonderful artist, and who is one of the original Crypts and Weirdos artists. So he made the animated cover, and we like a kind of interactive index, but we also wanted to preserve the feeling of a book. So we're not, I know a lot of people play around with like you unlock content or you read one chapter and then you buy it and then or whatever, however you interact with it, and then you unlock the second chapter. And I think those things are fun and they're I mean, I am completely happy and open about people experimenting with different ways. But we did it more, I think, slightly more traditionally because we felt we really want people to have a digital reading experience. So it doesn't have like all those bells and whistles of, also that kind of community club and unlock special content or anything like that. This is a book that is on NFT form. It's not just a PDF attached to a token. It has been designed as a digital object. So as I say, you start with a very like funky, fabulous cover, and then you go into this interactive index where it has some visuals and some movement, and then you click on the chapter and you start reading. And the reading is actually like you read a digital book. You could certainly choose to read chapters in disorder or whatever, but we did not do anything to play around that much with the format of a book because we want people to enjoy the novel. I'm very proud to say, though, that the book is in Spanish and the platform is launching with this book in Spanish, which is another way to signal the fact that there are more platforms and more people conscious of giving space in this space to other languages, to people that are usually, for lack of a better word, more in the margins, not because they deserve to be in the margins, but because the main, the dominant culture just takes over everything. And so the book is coming out in Spanish. There's going to be an English translation at some point, but that's how we're doing it. But to me, the interesting part is that we're going to be part of this DAO, and we're kind of like collectively owning a piece of this platform and collaborating, bring more content from more people. So already, for instance, in this model, already my relationship to my editor is more parallel. And not like this, like here's the author, here's the editor, he calls all the shots, he sends me my money, end of story. Now we're collaborating to bring more content to our page in the platform, and like picking maybe, like we're going to come out with a short story, and we're also, and we want to do it as a marriage of art and literature. So curating art for the specific works of literature, which is a lot of fun for me. So that's what we're experimenting on.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Petra, by everyone.
Oh, so cute. Actually, the typing that I saw was a cat sitting on the keyboard of our artist, so there was no question.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
actually, yeah. Yeah, sorry, there is a delay with the audio. That's why I interrupt you. I'm so sorry. And yeah, I don't know if anybody has any comments or whatever, but yeah, I think that sometimes the thing that is most scares us then in the space is the recreation, the fear of recreation of those patterns, linked with the traditional art world that we are used to. So seeing, a reality like the DADA.art is kind of inspiring and empowering, I think, for creators, first of all, but then also for people like me that just study and research the space. So I know it's just a comment. It's not a question, but
thank
I
you.
think
Yeah.
I think it's the things that gave us hope are projects and people that are dealing with this kind of inclusivity and yeah, project like that. So I just wanted to say this and take some
Thank you,
time
Mathilde.
between then between the next
Thank you. No,
question. And
I think that that's one of the things that I think we just being in this space. I mean, it can be a rabbit hole to no end. But if you follow, like vertical crypto art, if you follow certain people who have written, or who are good. I hate the word influencers, but influential people, which is a different thing. Influencers are people who have kind of some sort of like their own interest at heart, and they may not necessarily know exactly. Influential people who move a space forward, who actually do stuff in order to bring more community or more innovation. If you follow those kinds of things, like, you can find amazing artists, you can find amazing platforms, but also just looking at the space gives you a kind of like a blank canvas to imagine all kinds of things that you can do with your own media, or you can do as experimentally. Because I think like really the whole point of this is to experiment as much as possible, and the fact, as we were saying, with like the possibility of collaborating with other artists and with different formats, so you can add music to something, you can animate it, you can, there's, I don't know if you're familiar with async art, but that's a really platform where different artists add layers to creating a work. So there's, it's just kind of fun to see where these crazy where these aspects of the technology can take you creatively, and think about it instead of just like listening to that unceasing noise of prices and floors and rugs. All those things are so distracting.
totally. And since this lesson is being recorded and will be published on YouTube, do you have any kind of suggestion for those creators that feel, of course, overwhelmed by this blank canvas in the first impact? So I don't know, maybe you can give some advices for, because I know that our residents are not newbies anymore, but there are a lot of creators that want to enter the space, and sometimes can be very frustrations in they don't know what to do. So I don't know if you have
Oh
any
my
kind of
God, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's hard because that's precisely like, that's kind of by design coming in, and it's still kind of early, but coming into a space that going through growing changes, these growing pains must be really, really daunting. The only thing I could say is really try, number one, to focus on your art, to make as much art as possible. Try to not get distracted. It's very difficult, but to not get distracted by the hype and the chilling, and the hustling, and find community. I mean, you're lucky to have found a community here in vertical crypto art, and that stuff is, you never know really how, like, the ramifications of your relationship, like-minded people, and with people who are respectful and understand and champion what you want to do, and that can be the healthiest way to go about it. And there's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Sparrow, do you have any advice? You're a long established artist, so I don't know if you have any words of wisdom, because I am not an artist myself. So yeah,
You're a writer.
I'm a writer, yes, but like not a visual
That is an
artist.
artist.
Here,
And I
That's
here.
think
true.
that the same advice goes for visual artists as for writers, right? Find your
Yes,
voice,
yeah.
find your style. Don't try to copy anybody else's, because it's already been done, and it's much easier in the long run, and it really does, I think, pay off because it's more authentic if it's your own voice rather than someone else's.
Totally. It's really what makes sense for you. And I think you really, it's how, find your like your instinct, trust your instincts as an artist and a creator. And there are so many things that may kind of like be appealing or you wanna, and it's fine to investigate, but do what makes sense for you. Like Anna, you were asking about the NFT. Yeah, we like chop it into blocks and the book and do all kinds of things, but not this first outing. This is what we want to do, so it's always fun to see what makes sense for you now, to learn from doing, but you really have to be your own curator of the experience that you want to have, and that takes some time. It can be fun, but then you start identifying the stuff that resonates with you, and the people that you feel are aligned or that you admire as artists, and it's never ever it has never hurt anyone to look at as much art as possible. So I think that's a way to concentrate on the art, concentrate on the artists, and leave that other craziness circus behind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I don't know if Sparrow wants to say something to our cohort, wants to share, I don't know, any kind of, or our cohort of artists wants to ask something to Sparrow, since it's from, the DADA team. So yeah, we have, a couple of minutes. We can join a conversation in this way. I don't know.
Yes. Particularly because I feel that even though when I say I'm not an artist, I don't have your experience that you guys are having. I can see it peripherally because I believe me, vicariously from with Twitter and with how our artists are dealing with it, but I don't live it in my own skin. So that's why I say I may not. This advice of mine comes from just hovering around artists and seeing the toll that it can take. But Sparrow?
I mean, I think you've covered pretty much everything, Judy. It's been a wonderful talk. I
Thank you.
don't know how much more I can add, except just to say it. Think of what you're going to want to look back on, and what you'll want to have done when tons of opportunities come, and they will, because that's the way this space works. Make sure you choose the ones that are just going to enjoy because it's the right thing to do, rather than it's something that you feel like you have to do or should do. Do the things that are meaningful to do, because just in doing them is the reward. And that goes back to Dada's intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation, right? If you're doing something that you enjoy doing and that you want to do just to do, then you can't go wrong.
Yeah, and it should be fun as much as you can. It should be a fun and enlightening and challenging, but in a good way. And I remember what Artnom once said, that I asked him how were you able to predict certain things, and he said, I predict the change I want to happen. So you can predict what you can look towards the future and predict for yourself maybe what you want to see happen but I would say creatively, because as an artist, not so much as like, yeah, I want to be a people that, no, is where you want to go as an artist and what you want to build, and that's probably what may end up happening, because you'll visualize it, you'll dream it.
That's so inspiring. Thank you so much, Judy, and thank you, Sparrow, for your amazing,
Thank you.
sharing of knowledge. And yeah, I think we don't have any other question because we covered amazingly everything. So thank you so much, Judy and Sparrow and the DADA team.
Thank you.
And take care and enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too, guys. It's nice meeting you. You can follow on Twitter each other, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, no, this is such a lovely program. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish that there had been something like this when I joined the space. So
No,
please take advantage.
you are doing the Lord's work. That's, yeah, totally.
For sure, for sure. So to the team, keep up the good work, and to the residents, take advantage of this program because it's amazing.
Yeah. And the connections that you make are relations, not even connections, are going to be long lasting and really fruitful. So go for, as Sparrow says, make the best.
Thank you so much for your kind words too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a lovely
Bye-bye.
evening.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys.